Josh and Frankie with a couple of dumb shits. Hello, Primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations! You can find us at Primus Tracks on Instagram and Twitter. Email us, primustrackspod@gmail.com. And, of course, the Facebook page for everything you've ever wanted Primus-wise. I am Josh, joined, of course, by Frankie. What's up, Frankie?
Hi, Josh.
Frankie, we're doing something special today. I think it's an important special thing. We're breaking the timeline. We will be back to the Antipop record next week. But today we are going to summarize, wrap up, or just kvetch, I suppose, about the latest Primus tour, which finally concluded after a long run. And that would be the Tribute to Kings tour. It was a big one. I suppose we're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty, but I suppose we should talk about our general impressions of the tour and direct people to some sources for fantastic audio. Frankie, I got to see one of the tour stops in Bend, so I actually got to experience it live. And I will say, generally, I don't know, I loved it. I've listened to A Farewell to Kings a bunch of times, so I was ready for that record. And, a lot of people were saying, dude, they're doing it note for note, it's incredible. And I went, okay, well, we'll see. And they did. They 100% accuracy as far as I can tell. And I'm not a musical genius, but man alive, it felt like they were playing that record note for note. And I hope that comes through on the recordings. And then as far as the Primus sets go, they sounded great. It seems like these guys got together and rehearsed like mad to get this Rush record ready, and then played a bunch of their Primus tunes too.
Yeah, for a moment, it almost seemed like a flashback of the 3D tour.
Oh, how so?
With all the deep cuts emerging.
Ah, yes, the deep cuts. Now, there were not a lot of deep cuts on the first leg in the Pacific Northwest. But
yeah, they were saving the stuff for later.
Yeah, they didn't want me to be happy, I think was the deal. But when they made it to the Southeast and started running through the Southeast, and then especially in New England, too, they really started letting it rip. So I'm curious, as someone who didn't get to see a show, but don't worry, Frankie, I have a feeling that you're going to in the spring. What were your impressions looking at it from a macro lens, but also looking at the set list night after night?
My impression was that I imagined that the first night, they were going to play it safe regarding the first set, like they always do at the beginning of the tours. And that's actually what happened. And then, as the tour was progressing, I thought they were going to stick to similar set lists. I thought that they had focused all their energy and their effort on learning the Rush album note by note. But when they started busting out, the Antipop stuff, and then later deeper cuts, I realized that, they had rehearsed a ton of stuff. And for a moment there, I thought they were going to play my favorite song. It didn't actually happen, but the fact that it was teased just tells me that there's potential for it to appear later on in the tour. So overall, it was a tour full of surprises, amazing performances, and you could really tell they were having a great time on stage. And as long as that keeps happening, we know that Les feels happy and Primus keeps going.
Great point. The vibe was super positive. Even and of course these guys are able to take the piss out of themselves, so even during the Rush set, Les is going, yeah, I can't sing that high, so I need your help. That was my favorite thing on Closer to the Heart. He's like, I need your help. But he made it the night I saw him. He made it up to that note in his Les Claypool way, and the audience was supporting him through that. But really great vibes, and it just came through to the crowd. Everybody was having a good time. It's funny because I don't really pay attention to this stuff, but I started watching a lot of footage after seeing the Bend show. And boy, oh boy, everybody just seems to be having a blast. And that always comes through in the music. So playing a really challenging album, I guess, brings a lot out of these guys. And the audience, they were eating it up. Everybody who was posting about it and, going home and messaging us even on Instagram and whatnot, boy, overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, I noticed, the the reaction that the set lists were getting when we were posting them on the Facebook page, people were genuinely surprised at some of the song selections that kept appearing.
Yeah, the punctuation was off the charts. There were so many exclamation points and question marks and capital letters. They played what? So really seeing that variety really does seem like they were invigorated to play. And we're talking about one of dozens, if not hundreds of bands who didn't get to perform live in front of an audience for well over a year. And going back out there just must have felt like getting back to normal, but also really savoring it as well. So
I'm also truly surprised only a few dates were postponed and they were able to wrap it up.
Right.
Almost like they intended to.
They almost made it to every single date. And we're going to get into that. I know you have stats, Frankie, so we're going to get into those numbers real soon. But we should also, I do want to credit some people because you have your 3 musicians on stage giving you this Rush album, but then also 8 to 10 Primus numbers a night that they varied considerably. But there's all these people behind the scenes. So, this was this Rush album, 1977's Farewell to Kings. It's only about 37 minutes, so there's plenty of time for Primus. But what I recall them saying was it was chosen for its feasibility to recreate live. I think the first choice was going to be Hemispheres, but it was...
That's right. I was going to ask you, what would that have been like? We've heard Primus do La Villa Strangiato before, right, which is absolutely mind-blowing. But how do you think they would have pulled off the full album if they had gone for it?
With my memories of Hemispheres, which is not one I've listened to lately, but isn't there a lot of atmospheric synth in there that just doesn't drive through? I mean, it's very atmospheric. I just don't know how that would come across live. So I think they went with one that they could all 3 recreate and have a really lively experience. So I remember the last time I listened to Hemispheres actually now going, how are they going to do this? Because it just, in some places, it's so atmospheric that nothing's happening, if I recall correctly. So, but it really, this one I think really came across well live, and it obviously took a lot of work, but it also took acquiring the right gear. So Larry has this huge arsenal now of Gibson guitars, SG, a V, like 100 other ones. They were all created for him by Dan and Brock down at Gibson Custom. So I want to give props to Dan and Brock for making these beautiful guitars, working their fingers to the bone so Larry looks and sounds brilliant. And I think it's a combination of those Gibson guitars and Larry going back to Marshall amplification. He just sounded really full. All the band members did. They sounded really full and really bright. The overall sound was incredible. Frankie, I think I told you, but I don't know that a lot of people know that the double neck that Larry brought out at different points in the show was not one that was custom made for him. It actually came directly from Alex Lifeson.
Right.
So
that's right.
Yeah, this double neck, and Soya told me about it. This double neck on the back is inscribed Big Al 2. So I believe it is the second one produced from that very limited series. And my understanding is that Lifeson shipped it to Larry and just said, keep it. Which is pretty
Amazing.
Incredible. Pretty incredible. Like, what? All right. Which leads to speculation as to where is Big Al 1. And Soya said, it's in a closet somewhere and nobody cares about it. I can think of a lot of people that care about Big Al 1 and 2. We got to see Big Al 2 out there. I keep almost wanting to say Weird Al. That's just where my mind is going right now. Larry looked great. And then the custom guitar picks, because of course they're throwing out picks like crazy. So those themed picks looked really good. I ended up with a couple. Thanks, Soya. Tim's drum kit. Speaking of Soya, Herb's drum kit recreates Neil Peart's from the Farewell to Kings tour really closely. The timbales, the tubular bells, and all that extra stuff, that they brought out for the Rush set too. But the kit itself, and I have to go back and credit Soya again because he did all that research and all that work to get that kit to look just like Neil's. And
wow.
You can see recreations of Neil's kit from that tour online, and it's hard to tell, of course, when you're out in the crowd looking at it, but Soya said he put a lot of work in, so we got to credit Soya for getting that together. Everybody that came back and said Herb sounded just like Neil, thank Tim Soya, because he's a big part of that. Also pretty sweet custom tour sticks from Vader that Herb had. I don't know if you got to see those, Frankie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look great.
Really fantastic.
They do. And they're maple wood, and they're super light. So if you get a chance to catch one at some point, Frankie, you're going to marvel at how light and durable it is. They're pretty incredible. Vader does not sponsor the podcast, but I want them to. So then, but the person whose gear I know the least about would be Les's, because we know he's got his Rickenbacker. He had a double neck as well, and it was his first time playing guitar on stage, so he had some picks. And I remember him at one date, he said, I just got to flick a guitar pick out into the audience for the first time in my life. And this guy's been touring constantly for 30-odd years. It's the first time he ever got to flick a pick into the audience. How funny is that? But he had the synths as well. But I would have to say for Les, the most important piece of equipment, and I'm sure you'll agree with me 100%, was the kimono.
Absolutely. He looked incredible decked out with that kimono. And shout out to Landon for getting such an amazing shot of Les wearing that.
Oh, yes, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, that's a great shot. A lot of great shots, actually, from this tour from different photographers who were tagging us or sending us pictures.
Thanks to everyone for sending us photos of the shows and for, giving us tips about the set lists. Thank you to everyone.
Well, we do strive for accuracy here at Primus Tracks. And so it was really great, though, to see some set lists come in and go, they didn't play You Like It. That one was like, no way, come on. And so, of course, I'm scouring all the video going, there's no way. But yeah, it didn't happen, unfortunately. That was also fun. So the people behind the scenes, shout out to them. I do want to credit a couple of people because Cage Claypool was credited as coming up with some of the video parts during the Rush set. Those of you that didn't see it, I don't want to spoil it too much, but when they get into Cygnus, there's some really great animation that's Primus related that was just so fun to see when it showed up on the screen. Big stupid smile on my face when I saw that in Bend. And also props to Agent O, who was handling the live video. That seems like a difficult job, Frankie, because you got to be vibing with the band and knowing where they're going in real time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Especially during those medleys, and I know you're going to talk about the medleys, but when they go from one track to another, to another, to another, all in the span of a couple of minutes, Agent O's got to be bringing up the appropriate video file, and then, if it's on some kind of loop, he's got to be hitting it in time with the beat to make it look like, or the rhythm to make it look like it's an organic thing. So, Agent Ogden, you're all right. And special thanks to Cheney, too, for streaming the Denver shows on her Instagram. So
streaming, sharing photos, showing us the setlist artwork every night.
Yeah.
Sharing cool photos, posting stories. I mean, she's a top lady.
She sure is. And I got to say, this is probably the most involved on social media. And I know it's Cheney, but it's the most involved Primus has been with social media since the dawn of social media. Yeah. Finally, they're coming around in 2021 and using it to draw people in. Props to all those people. It must have been a really fun tour. It just seems like it was a fantastic tour.
I'm still, processing, the mental image of Les throwing picks at the audience.
It's a tough one to get over. What's he doing? Yeah, for sure. I would say one of my favorite lasting images from the show I saw was after the show, of course, there's a rush, pun intended, I guess, to the barrier because everybody wants a set list or a pick or a drumstick. And I was standing back because I didn't really care too much. But I think one of my favorite images was Soya just reaching back and whipping a drumstick into the audience and then 10 people jumping as high as they could to try to get it. And then it hitting the ground, and then this huge scrum erupting as they tried to get this drumstick. And I know it happens at every show, but I got to see it, and it was a lot of fun. So really great stuff going on all around. Like I said, I think you're going to have a chance in the spring, Frankie, to catch this.
I certainly hope so. I mean, yeah. I'm not huge on Rush, but I would love to witness myself how they're playing the album. But most of all, I hope I can get to see Antipop, Beef, and Full Nut Butter, and all of these incredible songs live for the first time.
Yes, these rarities. We should get into that because I know you've got stats, and I know you love talking rarities, so I'm going to hang up and listen.
All right. So I know you're going to be blown away by this fact, but they performed the full Rush album every night.
Are you telling me that this is those? What? Oh my gosh. So the most played track was a Rush track. 6 of them to be exact.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I'm glad we got that out of the way.
So other than that, I mean, you have the zingers topping the list. My Name is Mud, Southbound Pachyderm, Jerry Was a Race Car Driver. I do want to point out that Southbound Pachyderm was a bit more interesting during this tour compared to previous ones, because Les was playing the double neck. He had the synth, and they were just experimenting a lot more with the track, inspired by the Rush set.
Yeah.
Damn Blue Collar Tweakers, as usual, was the most frequent opener. Surprise appearance by Eclectic Electric.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, nobody saw that one coming, right?
Well, they played at that live stream, and then after the Pacific Northwest leg, I thought, well, they must have dropped those. And how wrong we were.
I was talking to a friend, and he told me that he was feeling really privileged after witnessing Eclectic Electric the first time they played it during this last tour. And then they went on to play it every night for the rest of the tour. But anyway, it must have been pretty cool to watch the premiere.
Oh, absolutely. What a treat that is. Yeah, and it sounded great.
Full Professor Not Buttered House of Treats, which is an absolute treat indeed. Yes.
It is. Yes, that is. That's necessary for any Primus fan to see at some point in their life. It's remarkable.
Wynonna was there, of course. No complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Smashing song live. Too Many Puppies and Sgt. Baker was also on frequent rotation. The Antipop made a surprise return. Out of all the tracks from Antipop, the title track is definitely in my top 3 from the album. I was hoping they would tackle a full lacquer hit, but it remained just a tease during Damn Blue Collar Tweakers during several nights. But, they did the full Antipop, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I guess that means that Lacquerhead is the new Highball with the Devil, because it goes right in the middle of Tweakers.
That's right. That's right. Lots of interesting upright selections. I mean, we had Gillies on Smack. We had Seas of Cheese, a fromage version, I must specify. Mr. Crinkle, a pork soda tease. And we also had Frizzle Fry. Correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't get a full pudding time. It was always in medley mode.
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so it was an interesting new medley that they were doing, consisting of The Toys Go Winding Down, Pudding Time, and Tommy the Cat.
Right, and then those evolved over time too. And so we ended up getting Spaghetti Western in there.
That's right.
A couple other ones, depending on which.
Yeah, they were throwing in stuff from time to time. It was an interesting medley, although I must say, you know how I feel about medleys. So given the choice, I would have preferred a full Tommy the Cat or a full Pudding Time. But, it was a cool medley anyway.
I will say the one that Cheney streamed from Denver, that medley was rocking. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the crowd actually didn't seem to know what they were to do with it. They were just like, wait, they stopped. Now they're doing something else. And it is kind of hard to vibe live with it. But watching it on a stream, this is fantastic. I'll take this all day. So it really did change my perception on those medleys when I'm not in the crowd and just watching through somebody's camera.
Electric Grapevine was also on frequent rotation, as well as American Life, Groundhog's Day. Salmon Man, interestingly, came back with the dobro, as it was originally played when Primus first began playing the song.
Right. So we had a lot of tracks that they've played fairly regularly, but then all these rarities. But I think it's important that we point to variation in the familiar tracks. There was a lot of that. Yeah, we had the dobro for Salmon Man. We had the return of an other fan favorite, which is called Over the Cliff. Yeah, it came back.
It reared its head several times during this tour.
Yeah.
A few fisticuffs here and there, a few nature boys here and there. Here Come the Bastards occasionally.
Oh man, you mentioned Nature Boy, so that one that was aborted when Les, as he says, fucked up, it hurt my heart. I went, oh man, right at the good part, right at the breakdown. Oh no. I really hope that doesn't result in Nature Boy being shelved for the next 10 years.
Nah, they love that song.
Ah, it's a great one. I will always be okay with Nature Boy. Well, you're pointing to a lot of great stuff, but I don't think you mentioned the one that really got you going, that one rarity.
No, wait. I'm descending, from frequent rotation to the rarest tracks.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to condescend to your dissension.
No, it's all right. Welcome to This World occasionally. A few spaghetti westerns, some teases. Harold of the Rocks a handful of times, John the Fisherman as well.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're entering the rarity territory. Are you ready for this list, Josh?
I'm ready because I'm familiar with it, but for our audience, if you want the full scope, you might want to sit down.
All right, so they brought back Shake Hands with Beef, which had not been performed since its lone performance in 2019. During the one-off from the Slayer tour.
Oh, right. And then before that, it hadn't been played for quite some time, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. And it's interesting that in one of the set lists, there was a reference to the music video.
Oh, right, yes. The sketch of Lur hanging on the thing, and Les, and Lur's like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Didn't Les also introduce it as a crusty old number or something like that on one of them?
That's right. He did.
I love that. But that was a surprise to see. So Beef was, wow, seeing that, I went, they really are reaching into the bag.
Totally.
Yeah.
What is also interesting is that you may get a song every night during a particular tour, and then the following tour, it may become a rarity. And that's what happened with the Seven. The Seven was played only 6 times during this tour.
Oh, great point. Yeah, we had no Chocolate Factory. And
the Seven was the sole representative of the Desaturating Seven.
Right. You're absolutely right. So there wasn't much from the most recent output.
Absolutely.
But they still were reaching deep into the bag to pull out some things we hadn't heard in a while, which was, I think, great fan service.
Another huge surprise, Hamburger Train. Played 4 times.
Yes. Great one.
An even bigger surprise, Bob.
You would call that a bigger surprise? Interesting.
I think so because, I got Hamburger Train back in Denver in 2018, but the last time I saw Bob myself was back in 2013.
Ah, okay. I've gotten Bob a bunch of times, so to me, it's more regular, or more common. But maybe now it's just because when Les knows I'm at the show, he feels suicidal.
Yeah.
Yikes. Sorry, guy.
11 was only played 3 times.
That was a surprise. Yeah.
Absolutely. Golden Boy was only played 3 times as well.
Okay.
The Heckler was another big rarity during this tour. Duchess was played only twice.
So that one came back twice. Okay, that was the one when we were chatting. I couldn't remember what was the other Brown album track they played. It was I was like, which one was it? I had to go through. Okay, so I had forgotten about that one. So Duchess twice is definitely
it's a rarity for sure. Mr. Know-It-All was played only twice as well.
That is surprising. Wow.
Is It Luck? Only twice.
Nice. That's a good one.
Mrs. Blaylin and the Pressman were only played once during the entire tour.
But that's 2 more that you don't hear a lot. So to get those, they just went, hey, let's do that one. It really does have those Fromage vibes too, where they were just playing everything that they had almost.
Right on. And I would guess the biggest rarity of them all would be I Want Gal, which was performed exclusively because it was Chaney's birthday. So given the circumstances under which it was played, I would say that if Cheney's birthday had been on a day off, they would not have done Iowa and Gal on this tour at all. There's no other reason to perform it. So it was definitely the rarest track of the tour.
So you're saying Les sticks to the timeline of birthdays and won't give a 24-hour grace period to play a song for his wife?
I certainly won't.
Wow, that man is severe in Frankie's imagination. That's great.
In terms of teases, there were plenty of interesting things. Like I said, they teased Lacquerhead a whole lot.
Yep.
To the point it became, as you said, the new highball with the devil. And they also teased On the Tweak again. They teased Liquid Sky.
Yeah.
I believe they teased Cosmic Highway, right?
That was reported out. Yes, I didn't hear that one, but I believe it.
Eternal Consumption Engine.
Mm-hmm.
They teased Polka Dot Rose a few times.
Right. You know what's funny about that one, Frankie?
What?
Was just that somebody pointed out that, Larry's doing his thing on Groundhog in Denver, and he's doing his standard Lur Santana solo, and then Les starts doing the line to Polka Dot Rose, and he's doing the lyrics, and Larry just continues to solo because I don't think he has any idea what that song is. That was phenomenal.
And the jewel in the crown, Josh, was the tease of Carpenter and the Dainty Bride, which took place in Atlanta.
Absolutely. And I love that you went back to the King's imagery to call it the jewel in the crown. I will not let that slide by. We also call that the Frankie effect, right? Is that what we call it?
I will not give up hope. I have hope they will perform the full thing the next year.
Yeah, we'll let them know ahead of time which shows you're going to. And I think it might appear.
He'll skip it on my shows for sure.
Oh, well, of course, yes. That's what we call the Soya effect. When you advocate for a song and then you're not there and he plays it.
And it gets played. Yeah,
that's right.
Sure.
So the Frankie effect will yield to the Soya effect in the coming tours. Oh, man. So Carpenter, and that was just once. Was that Atlanta? Was that where that was?
It was in Atlanta, yeah.
That was huge. Because I know that your mind was flayed by that appearance.
It's decades in the making.
History is on its way, folks. That was a big one, yeah. Well, you named a lot of rarities, so I suppose we should hear little portions of each. Why not?
Sure.
We're going to go to San Diego quite a bit. I want to give credit to Alex Matthews for this recording from San Diego of Shake Hands with Beef. Let's listen to a little. Sounds tight. Lur's playing the V, by the way. That's great. Those are nice little rolls.
Tight.
I hadn't listened to that
pretty
before.
Tight.
It is pretty tight. And I can't tell if Les is playing the fretted 6, but I believe he is there.
I think so. See. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go, Frankie. Let's listen to Iowan Gal.
So, I'm going to do a little something I haven't done in a long time. It's my wife's birthday tonight, so I'm going to do a little
Supportive crowd.
It's a very good possibility that I'm going to fuck it up, but it's a nice gesture.
He's getting into it now.
That was bouncy.
That was bouncy. You know what they say, Frankie? It's the thought that counts.
That's right.
And let's go back to San Diego to hear one of very few. Was it 2 Mr. Know-It-All performances?
Only 2 performances of Mr. Know-It-All.
All right, so this is back to San Diego, and this is from David. I don't know how to say his last name on YouTube there, but I'm going to go with David Treacle. David Treacle. Ugh, I don't know. I'm going to go with David Treacle. Here's a little Mr. Know-It-All.
A song that our Polish friend Mr. Tomaski really enjoys. He calls it Mr. Noodle, but it's actually.
They call me Mr. Know-It-All. I will not compromise. I will not be told what to do. I shall not step aside.
Oh yeah, Lure on the V again. That's what I'm talking about, that full, bright sound, Frankie. They sound tapping. Great. Yeah, that tapping sounds great. The guitar sounds great. One thing I did notice over the course of the tour is that Larry still had a few Fenders in the rig there, but they disappeared over the course of the tour, and he was really sticking to those Gibsons. And that V's out there a lot. I think he's feeling the rock star vibes playing that one. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, I could tell that looking at the photos of Lur, with the double neck and his hair swaying in the wind.
I think he really wanted to live that life, and I think he deserves it. We'll say that. Speaking of Lur with the V, I think he's got the V here again. We're still in San Diego because we want to go on vacation. Here's Professor Nutbutter's House of Treats, or at least a part of it. What I like about this part, Frankie, is Tim's barely moving his sticks.
Economy of motion.
Well, yeah, when he's playing soft like that. That bass sounds great. Oop. Nice bottom end on that bass. Ugh. I have to stop it because I didn't get that in Bend, and I just wanted one so bad.
Particularly thick fretted 6 on this one.
THICC. I agree.
That's right.
And one more live cut. Let's go this time to Indianapolis for a bit of Antipop, and this is from Backwoods Films on YouTube. If it'll press play. There's that filter, Frankie. I think they're doing it justice. It sounds good.
That one goes out to Nick. #team envelope filter.
You guys got me.
That's how I like it. All track long. How did you describe it the other day? You said it was like somebody farting all the way down the stairs or something like that.
I think I said like 500 pounds of spaghetti falling down the stairs.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh okay.
Yeah. I would not revert to toilet humor, Frankie. Not me, a 6th grade teacher. No, never. So there's some samples. Go to YouTube, search for them.
Fantastic stuff. I mean,
yeah.
We started off with Beef, quite tight, right?
You bet.
I Want Gal, pretty bouncy.
Yeah.
Mr. Know-It-All, rather ferocious. Professor Nutbutter is particularly thick. And I will describe Antipop as heavenly because of the envelope filter.
I'm going to have to write a romance novel about you and a piece of musical equipment. Man. Well, I think we covered all the adjectives, which means that the band did too. They ran the gamut for us on this tour. Like we said, it was a long one. They had 40-odd dates and were able to complete 39 of them. 5 were postponed and I think will be made up in the spring. There's already a couple of dates out there, which is why I have a good feeling about a spring tour. So that's what I've got for A Tribute to Kings. It sounds like the tribute will continue at some point, but we're at a really good place here. I felt good about that tour. I'm going to be watching a lot of videos thanks to Frankie's inspiration.
You're welcome.
Thanks, buddy. Folks, we'll be back to the Antipop record next week with Lacquerhead, and our good friend Luke from La Special will be here to break down the bass part of that particular track, which has made itself known on the latest tour. So it's really great for that timing. So I hope you enjoyed our little sojourn out into the world of Primus tours. We'll
Can't
get back
wait
to
for that one.
You bet. We'll get back to it next week. Later days.
Willie Mays.